What up, everybody? Welcome to Legacy TV and the Convo podcast. And man, we've been on a roll here. We've been having some of the best fighters, coaches in the world, and I like to say again, the streak continues. Like I'm highly blessed by God, and I've been able to start this thing in 6 months and just have all the people I wanted to have. And this one's special because this gentleman here, I knew his story coming up and coming up the way I came up and hearing his story and seeing him fight and become who he was. I always was a fan, and then seeing who he is today, the coach he is today, I would say probably one of the best coaches ever. It's an honor today to have Antonio Mckee in the house.
Thanks, man.
I'm
honored to be here, brother.
Thank you, brother.
For
I really appreciate this. This means a lot to me, bro.
Oh, I'm glad to be here, bro. You know me, I like it like this.
Yeah, let's make this a good one. I believe, like, you know, there's a lot of things that I want to touch on in as we get, you know, into the podcast, but you know, for these newer people that are into the sport, you know, these people that are coming up now that really don't know much about the sport. There's a lot of people that don't know a lot about you. They know the amazing coach that you are, I'm sure, because they've heard through the grapevine if they're a real MMA fan. Yeah. But brother, let's get started from the beginning. So where did you grow up? What city were you born?
Well, originally from Nashville, Tennessee. I was born in Dayton, Ohio, and from Nashville, Tennessee, moved to Atlanta. From Atlanta, back to Nashville. Then I came to California, moved back to Nashville, then came back to California. I was having some issues as a child growing up, you know what I mean?
What would you say those issues? If there's anything that you don't want to speak on, I completely understand.
Well, only thing I don't want to speak on is murder because there's no statute of limitation on that. But for the most part, I'm an open book. I'm just a man. If you just knew who I was versus what you've heard I was, and the man that I am today, a man of God. You know, I walked a risky walk. What can I say? You know, I grew up. It was rough. I didn't have, you know, the structure that I should have had as a kid growing up. Unfortunately, my mother had me when she was 13 years old. So can you imagine a black woman having a kid in the South at 13 years old? You know, they would take the kid away. So my mother ran away, and when she ran away, it was a strain, and I guess there was things that she had to do, compromise her lifestyle versus mine. She almost died because they couldn't stop her from bleeding inside. So, you know, I felt guilty about that, and you know, it's just rough, man. When you grow up in the ghetto, I grew up in the ghetto in the projects that would make the projects out here look like Disneyland. Yeah. I mean, this is really ugly back south, and it's unfortunate that place is still there. You know, I go out there every now and then, drive through, and just go, man. Took my son there, and he was like, Dad, get me out of here. This is crazy. And we're in 2022, 23. That place is still up, you know. Look it up. It's called University Courts. Yeah. I bet you somebody died last night. Yeah. And I don't understand why that place is still there. All the people that have died there, I've witnessed so much death there that it desensitized me to life.
You become almost like just, you know, nothing phases you. You're numb. Exactly.
I can go eat after I watch this man get his head blown.
I was talking to somebody about that. At a certain point, after you've seen death so many times, it just becomes normal.
Right.
Whereas to some people, it's traumatizing. But when you put in situations like that in the ghetto and living like that and just seeing it all the time, it becomes normal to you. And it's sad to say that there's a lot of people that live like that, and they live the same way. And just touching on speaking of your mother, if you don't mind me speaking for a second, like that's another thing that's real rough is that, you know, in the ghetto and in areas where there's poverty, you know, the young ladies are having kids very young, right? And they're not able, as much as they want to be a mother, they're up here, they're not. I feel like they're just not ready. Absolutely. You know, you're too young to be a mother. Right. You're 13. I have kids that are in their teenage years. I could not imagine, you know, my daughter having a kid at 13 years old.
Well, here's the smack in the face. On my birth certificate, my dad is 32. Says my mom is 22.
Wow.
So I'm looking at this. I'm like, wait a minute, this ain't right. Okay. What does a 32-year-old man doing with a 12, 13-year-old? I don't know if I was a rape baby. I asked my dad about it. He was like, nah. But I didn't know at the time my mother was that age. I talked to him right before he died. And, you know, when you find all these things out, and then I was molested as a kid growing up from probably 4 all the way up to about 7. Damn. You know, I was, excuse my language, man, I was fucked up.
Yeah.
I was fucked up.
Who wouldn't be after going through that, you know?
The abuse, the physical abuse, the mental abuse, I didn't even understand. I was so desensitized, but the mental abuse didn't compare to the physical abuse. On top of the system abuse, you know, when you make it through all of this, man, you got issues, and I had issues, man. And I still got issues. Yeah, but I've learned how to cope with those issues, and this is why my program that I run is so powerful, because people come to me with issues, and no one wants to admit this. Most fighters that get in a cage and their job is to beat the shit out of each other have issues. Fact. Period. Fact. We all have issues. Fact. But there's a different type of issue when your job is to cause havoc, harm, maim, knock them out, break something, or beat them until the ref pulls you off. Absolutely. There's something wrong. Yeah. Because that's not normal. No, we're not. That 1%. You know what I mean? So I just learned to manage it, and when I managed it, there was no instruction manual. So I had to go trial by error. You know what I mean? I made a lot of mistakes. A lot of people didn't even know I had been to jail so many times that when my son looked at my report, because I was getting a license to carry a gun, he said, "Dad," he goes, "you weren't lying." I go, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "I saw your police report."
Hey, bro, you want to know what's crazy? I gotta tell you, since you brought this up. Just last week, I got my record. I went and did the live scans, and got from the Department of Justice. Got my record sent back, and my kids seen it, and they were like, "Damn, it's two." They sent me 2 packets, right? So I was like, "Oh man, yeah." So I can relate, bro.
That's why I'm here. That's why I'm on your podcast, because this is real. I like real. I ain't with that old phony ass Rogan show shit. This is real to me. Yeah. All due respect to Rogan, he's doing a great job over there, but I like this.
I appreciate
and I appreciate you bringing me. So.
I appreciate it. Well, you know, bro, I feel like this is one thing that instead of looking past people like us, you guys should want more people like us, because we can pull more kids into the martial arts and help absolutely. More people. So if anything, like you see somebody that comes from that environment, promote that, help them. Look at, you know, like people like Kimbo Slice. At the end of the day, I always look at how they looked at him in the beginning when he was fighting in the street to make some money to feed his family. Right. But then when they got to know him,
nicest guy in the world.
You know what I'm saying? So the same people that a lot of people that are afraid of because of the environment that they grew up on can be some of the greatest people you ever known in your life.
Yeah, well, you know? I don't want to be anti-Semitic. I don't want to get in no trouble, but you got to look at the system that we live in and who created the system and why the system is functioning properly for those who have and those who don't. Yeah. You know, I don't like to talk about the race-based stuff, but, you know, you got to look at Africa. How well is Africa doing, right? It's not doing so well. So we're complaining about the way we're treated over here in America. Okay, go back to Africa and see what happens. You know, you got one guy that has billions of dollars and these tribes are suffering. There's no water, there's no medical, there's no food. But here you have an opportunity, so they can say what they want. I'm just a real person, and the reality of it is there's no place like America. Yes, there are some ugly people here that do ugly things, but they can't stop us. We're the ones that push the shovel. You know what I mean? Yeah, people fear us, and that's why they don't bring us on certain shows. They don't want people to know the truth and what's really going on and how things work, and people like me and you exist. Right. You know, they throw away the key on guys like our friends, but when we make it, they keep us quiet. Yeah. Well, but that's why I'm here too.
That's a shame, you know, and like, you know, you got to give a voice to, you know, these type of people, because you never know the voices, how many people they can help. Bro, so let's get back to you. Like, I really want to. So, in this crazy lifestyle growing up, like, where do you find like the mindset? Because you, like, it's clear like you didn't have like somebody like, you know, like, you know, we all need that real mentor, that positive figure that's pushing us in the right direction. But sometimes you got to be able to dig within and do it yourself. You know, what was it in you that finally, like, man, I can't. This can't keep going on like this.
Man, I'm going to be honest, bro. I did not give a shit. I was ready to die. I said, I'm going to go out with banging bullets. It's going to be the biggest thing they talk about. I had no desire to live, man. I didn't have nothing to live for. What is there to live for? You don't have a mom. You don't have a dad. Your family. You don't have family. I'm in California alone. My mother's doing her thing. I'm trying to take care of my sister. The streets are calling me. The people that I call family are the biggest drug dealers in LA. And very well respected. I'm going to keep that quiet because I don't want to be attached to any of that anymore. But I'm just saying, like, it's a power from somewhere. I'm not a religious man. I believe in God. I believe in Yahweh, Yahweh. They've got 1,000 names. I believe in one superior that give me the energy, the strength. I focused on the voice that's talking in my head. That got me put in a mental hospital. That voice has never been wrong. The voice has always said what to do, and I challenged it and ended up on my face every time. So I can't give anybody the credit but God and myself for listening, because there was nothing that, like I said, that held water in my hand. I didn't care. I was lost. I did not care. You gave me a gun and told me to do this, do that. You give me this. I did it out of fear, and I did it out of rage. I was afraid to fail and scared of whatever I have done can come back to me. So I was always ready. You know, bulletproof vest, carry a gun everywhere I go. It's craziest stuff, you know. And I still to this day I suffer PTSD from that shit.
I know how you feel. My last case was you know, I was able to pull myself out after I kept going to jail, juvenile hall. In my early 20s, I went and started doing some longer bids. And finally, I got out, and then I was like, all right, I'm not going to get in trouble. But then, you know, 10 years ago, I got caught with a firearm. I'm not allowed to have a firearm. Right. But it's just like, but it's the only reason is like that PTSD. I'm always looking. I'm always going to do that. I'm always going to look over. When you grew up how we kind of grew up, you're always going to look over your shoulder. I've been shot at, stabbed, you name it. So like I'm always gonna be like whether I'm rich, whether no matter what, I'm gonna be always looking over my shoulder. That's just the way we are. You know, when you've been through
well, guess what? It gets worse as you get older. You go back, you resort back into your childhood. Like I'm 54, I'll be 55 shortly, but it gets worse and worse and worse to where I'm gonna work on figuring it out, and maybe by the time you get there, I have the answers for you. But as of right now, I just stay prayed up, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the answer to your question is God, man. I don't have anything other than that. There were people that assisted me and helped me along the way, but I showed them superior athletic abilities. I showed them the desire to win, you know, and pain didn't exist. I would always tell people pain's my best friend. They go, "What? You're sick?" I go, "Nah, man. You don't understand. Pain is my best friend." And they said, "Why?" I said, "Because it lets you know you're still alive.
Yeah.
Learn to suffer.
Embrace the
because
pain.
If you don't feel it,
go ahead.
That means you're either dead or unconscious.
Be comfortable in the uncomfortable, because that's life. Real talk.
I'll take that to my grave. And I put that in my son the minute he came out the womb. I said, "Son, pain is your best friend." And I would squeeze him and shake him up and rock him up. And I'd be like, why? He was, "Cause it lets you know you're still alive." All right, then. So if you interview him, you say, "Hey, AJ, what is pain?" Yeah. And he'll break it down for you.
Man, I would love to, man. Your son, like, hopefully we will have him on the show for you guys.
You got to have him on the show.
In my eyes, one of the best fighters right now to this day. He
100%.
is one of the best fighters on the planet. Y'all don't give the respect where it's due, in my opinion. Okay. But but we're good. We're all good. We all know who the best is.
We understand. We're not doing this for them to promote us as the best fighter in the world.
Yeah.
We're doing this to be on a platform for me to get the coaching, to be able to coach my own son from the bottom all the way to the top to number one. That's a blessing.
Yeah.
To be the father that I always dreamed that I could have had, I became that dad. I became that best friend. Me and my son are like brothers. You know what I'm saying?
Bro.
And
it's
we
inspiring.
train hard. He's kicking my ass now, though. I ain't gonna lie.
I can imagine.
But I tell you what, I give him hell.
I bet he's kicking a lot of people's asses.
Hey, he's so talented and so gifted. It's just, I can't wait till you bring him on the show, man. I'm gonna definitely tell him to get his ass.
Man,
over
he's
here.
the truth, man, and I really like enjoy watching him fight and just kind of watching him grow. And the more beautiful thing for me is, I don't know if you paid attention a lot to it. I'm sure you listen to it. I know you listen to rap music here and there, right? Yeah. There's this dude named Hit Boy. He's a producer, and his dad is Big Hit, and his dad just got out of prison, and now they're making music together.
Oh, nice!
And his songs are going platinum, and you know what I'm saying. Yeah. But to me, that's beautiful. I have a son, and that bond, that father and son bond. I remember watching you and him. I don't remember what fight it was at, but it was some media where y'all were hitting pads, and I was just watching. I'm like, this is like the Floyd Mayweather and the Floyd Mayweather Sr. of MMA.
We're better than Floyd, man.
But you know what I mean? Like, as far as MMA goes, like, these two are like,
we don't
beautiful. Like,
our friendship. My son would never disrespect me the way I've seen Floyd. No disrespect to Floyd. I think he's the greatest athlete in the world.
I'm just saying the father and son, like, being the best, like,
absolutely.
That, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And just like seeing that was like, it's inspiring, and seeing that father son connection and what you've done for him, and it's amazing to see as a father. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if you understand that you touch a lot of fathers out there like that.
Well, that's part of my job, is to encourage men to be fathers, because look at how far I got with no dad. Just straight on to purely me. And I've had some coaches, but I outgrew my coaches at a point. But to see how far I actually went, I took my son where he went, and I was there. So I went undefeated for about 7 years, almost 8 years. I was the first fighter to ever do it. I held multiple belts.
How did you, before we get to the fighting, just curious, like, at what point in your life is it that you transition to? Is it wrestling first? Where does the fighting begin for you?
Well, a lot of people didn't know, but I boxed first.
Okay.
I boxed. You know, the in-laws that I was with, at selling drugs at 12 years old. I think I was selling crack. I don't remember. I think it was crack, or I don't know, crack. It was something in a bag.
Statute limitations gone anyway.
Well, I did it. I did it. I was a child. I don't care about
me too as well, guys.
You know what I mean?
I did all of that.
And I even had other people selling that are really close to me. I would never say who they are, but I apologized to them and told them I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I didn't understand. But I never made no money selling drugs.
No.
I gave half of it away. I didn't know the difference between eighth. You got all the language.
You were eyeballing.
Yeah, I just didn't know. So that didn't work. So he said, hey, it's something different about you. I don't want you to do this. I want you to figure out what you want to do. And he said, tomorrow when you get here, you better let me know what you want to do. I came back tomorrow, and he said, what do you want to do? I said, I like to fight. He said, nigga, you can't fight. I said, what? Crackhead came over. Bip, pop, boom, peek, peek. He was like, okay. He said, take this. He called me voodoo. He said I was special. You know what I mean? I had powers, he said. So he took me to Sunny, Seaside Gym in Long Beach on, I think it was 7th Street or 10th Street.
Shout out Long Beach.
Yeah, and I started boxing. But I wanted to fight, man. This wasn't getting it. It was hit the bag, jump rope, hit the bag, jump rope. Man, I want to fight.
You want to hit
this
somebody.
Is some bull crap, right? So I was sitting on a bus stop, and this dude walked by, and he saw my boxing shoes. He said, you wrestle? And I said, nah, I box. He said, well, I wrestle. He said, man, you should wrestle. I was like, nah, ain't nobody good enough for me. I was a little cocky kid. I only weighed about 85, 90 pounds. And he said, no, come in. We got some guys in your size. I said, ain't no guy my size going to do nothing. I was fighting grown men, you know. I went in there, boy. This Filipino boy whooped my ass. I knew
that's what you.
It was horrible, and I couldn't understand how he was just throwing me around like a rag doll. Here I am on the street beating up men, and he's throwing me around like a rag doll. I didn't get it, so I told him I'm coming back. So I'll be back tomorrow. Came back the next day. He was kicking my butt again, but not as it was still bad, right? Yeah. I said, man, I want to do this. Stop boxing. Started wrestling. Determined to kick his ass. His name, I'll tell you his name if you ever want to look him up. Alvin Ampasta, Filipino kid. And then all of a sudden, the gap started getting shorter and shorter. By the end of the year, I said, next year, I'm going to beat you. And I'm going to be the best on this team. And I'm going to be the first champion out of Long Beach Poly. There was never a state champion out of Long Beach Poly. I was the first and the only one still to this day to be that.
Wow.
And I came in that next year, and I went right to work. It was more about kicking his butt. He was top 5 in
that was your motivation, though.
Yeah, I couldn't understand how a little dude could beat me up like that. But then I started to put on man strength. I got up to 126, and then I started murdering him. And I left him alone. I found new things.
You felt bad for him at some point, right?
Now I'm looking at the teammates. Everybody hated me. I was a loudmouth, cocky. But like I said, I don't make excuses for what I did, but I understand why I was the way I was. And that just propelled me to be even better, because now I have people that want to see me lose. And I ended up that year, I think I ended up getting done pretty dirty. And I came back the following year. I won CIF, 4-time More League champ, I think 2 or 3 times CIF champ, Master 2-time champ, state champ 3 times. So once I started, I understood my way out. But there was no money in wrestling.
Hell no.
But the pride, like I said, I've never been about the money. It's about what I've accomplished and who I wanted to be. And I was setting trails of just, I had everybody over here constantly worried. Oh my God. Because I try to hurt people. I wasn't trying to wrestle. I was trying to hurt them. I tried to bend their head all the way back to their legs, pick them up, slam them on there.
Yeah.
And I was just angry. You talking about an angry kid. You know what I mean? I was so angry. And I understood that it's going to go one way or the other way. And I just was constantly fighting that other way, making it go this way until I accepted, until I actually got defeated. When that happened, I had to keep telling myself, you judge a champion how he comes back from a loss, not how he's always won. And that just, I kept drilling that into my head. And I ended up being a 2-time JUCO champ, undefeated, only guy in the history to ever go undefeated in JUCO. I was D1 material, but I wasn't D1 scholarship academically. I just couldn't get it together in school. I was against U.S. government history. I was just rebelling, man. I was just whatever I could find, that I could find something that wasn't right, I'd chew it up. You know what I mean? I wouldn't stop. And I was very passionate about my culture. I was very passionate about history. I was very passionate about my homies. So you put all that together, and most of my homies weren't black. So I was always getting into stuff that didn't make no damn sense.
Essays?
I hung out with the body up over there, East Side Longos.
Shout out to the South Side.
I mean, West Side Longos. I didn't Crip, Rolling 20s.
Shout out to the Rollins, to the hundreds. Yeah. Shout out to the Rolling 40s. Shout out to the hundreds. Yeah.
Yeah.
All the way.
I got friends in 30s. I mean, I didn't see gangs. I didn't see banging. I saw a person that I cared about that was my homie. So sometimes that could get me in a lot of trouble, because at that time I had strong connections over here with Mongols, just, friends. You know what I mean? I don't speak on none of that stuff, but I was a good person, and they recognized that, and they said, listen, you're a good person. Just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
So
for sure,
they motivated me.
So like being such a high level wrestler, in your time, like MMA wasn't very big. What? Yeah. Like, but you can tell already, because how you speak about the way you like to wrestle. It sounds like you already were heading in a path to fighting anyway.
Yeah.
What is the opening eyes like? Yo, this is what I want to do. Like, I'm gonna do this MMA.
You know what? It wasn't. I was 30 years old when I started MMA. A lot of people didn't know that. I was sitting back watching TV. I saw this Brazilian guy, Horace Gracie, beating up on somebody, and I said, man, that dude can't fight, he can't wrestle. I said, I need some of that action. So I made a couple phone calls, and they were very selective who they put in the UFC, who they put in the tournaments, and it was basically, it wasn't, they didn't have the money to do what they were doing. So it had to be kind of groomed to where
it could work for them.
Hoist would win, because that was a Brazilian thing, right? And that was no big deal. And then I went around and, I got some skin, took it off my knees. I started training with a guy named Francisco Bueno, who could beat all of them. Francisco was a bad dude. And I did really well with him the first time. He tapped me out like 3 or 4 times. I had never been tapped out in my life, or never really been beat by someone bigger than me. I was just, it didn't matter. I was just the best, and I wanted to prove to the world. Didn't matter about your weight, your size. I don't care about none of that. But at this particular point, when you get at this level, it does matter. Yeah. Excuse me.
Sure.
It does matter, and the weight difference. So I'm really abnormally strong for my age, my weight, and I was able to do things a lot of people can't do. But he ended up taking me in, and within 6 months, he couldn't do anything with me anymore. It's like I just excel so quick, you know. And then I said, hey, man, I want to fight. He's like, are you sure? I called up Ted Williams. They got me a fight. I went 6-0, you know, and after that, it was, I was like, it was a drilling junkie for me, so.
You know, it's crazy just to think like, you know, like as high level wrestling as you were already, and then, you know, I've heard a lot of people say the same thing. They see Hoist, like they see those fights and they're like, nah, man, I could beat that dude up. Like it's just crazy because I feel like the wrestling community, that a lot of them have that mentality. Like,
well, I'll tell you this. If you have never done jiu-jitsu, you're not going to beat him.
Right.
Period.
There you
because there's things that we do as wrestlers, and I was pretty much at the highest level that you could be at besides go win a gold medal, but I did defeat John Smith, who was a 2-time Olympian, in an exhibition match, Cal State Fullerton, and everybody was going crazy over Chael Sander, got into it, and he got down to the nitty-gritty, and at the end of it, it was, I remember the guy, and he was very special. I'll accept that. But as a man, you know what I'm saying, John Smith knows what happened that day. Pat Smith knows what happened that day. And they wanted to go weigh me in. It got real crazy, man. I have no reason to lie about this. You know what I mean? Yeah, I still think John Smith is the baddest dude that I've ever came in contact with, the most technical guy. The guy was...
But on that day?
That day he lost. And
on that day?
Yeah. So, you know, I tell guys, listen, if you've never experienced jiu-jitsu, you're going to get jacked up. You're going to get tired. They're going to survive. And you're going to get tired, and then they're going to choke you out.
Right.
It's mandatory for us to go on all fours because we've been doing it for so long, and they take your bag.
Yep.
You don't know how to defend these chokes or what's coming at you. So I always tell people you have to respect jiu-jitsu.
Right.
I don't care how good you are, whatever you do, unless you're a one-punch knockout artist if you touch somebody, and they'll never go to the ground. But if you ever get to the ground, if you've never been there with jiu-jitsu guys, you're going to get tapped out.
Absolutely. But if you are, now let's say also to say this. Now, if you are a very high-level wrestler like you were, and you go and practice jiu-jitsu, I believe you have a big advantage in jiu-jitsu.
Absolutely.
Am I right? Like, speak on it. Like,
look at your champs. Look at your champs. Where do they come from?
Yeah, exactly.
They're all wrestlers.
That's what I'm saying. It's
wrestler. John Jones, wrestler. Tito, wrestler. Chuck Liddell, wrestler. Wrestlers that what? Don't get taken down, that hit hard.
And
Tyron Woodley.
And ground and pound on top and stay.
Khabib.
Yeah, exactly.
All those guys are all coming from a wrestling background.
Right.
If you go back about 20 years ago, I said wrestling will be the sport, MMA will be the pro sport for wrestling.
Absolutely.
Because it gives you, if you're not that good, you notice you don't see guys. How many gold medalists besides Cejudo do you know that came over in the MMA?
Cejudo, yeah.
And won? Not that many. No. It's most of the guys that were national runner-ups.
Mark Coleman, and that's it.
Did he win the NCAAs?
I'm not sure if he was NCAA or gold. I remember he was
okay,
something like that. But yeah,
very rare.
Very.
Do you see the guys like a Jordan Burroughs?
Absolutely.
They just don't cross over well because they don't. When you put that hammer on them, like I love fighting wrestlers. I love to go against wrestlers. Why? Because a lot of wrestlers will over wrestle. They don't have to do all the stuff they're doing. I've worked out a recipe. I've trained the most powerful fighters from the beginning until today.
Right.
I've never stopped teaching. I never stopped training. I never stopped learning. This is why you see my son.
Yeah, I heard you still kicking. I heard you still kicking butt in the gym now.
Well, you know what? I am, but let me tell you, it's a price, man. At this age, I don't do steroids.
The recovery is just
I'm
not the
against
same.
it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Everything I do is natural. I have a very good program for guys. No matter how old you are, I know how to make the adjustments because I've had to make it my whole career.
Right.
So my theory is to hit and not get hit, to submit and not get submitted, to control the position, and then punch him into a submission.
Yeah, beautiful.
And if you see AJ, that's what you see.
Yeah.
You know,
Perfect.
he's a 2.0 John Jones. John Jones even said, man, that dude, your son's bad.
Yeah.
He's one of the best. And to hear that from John, that's all that we need.
Yeah.
You know what?
For sure.
You've seen the transitions of submissions from to boom.
Yeah.
And then the strikes. Stuff that's...
He's that new... that new generation of just like complete, like everything is sick with it. Everything.
You know what? I took no ego training him.
Yeah.
I took the best of the jiu-jitsu world. I took the best of wrestling. I took the best of karate. And I took the best of kickboxing. I'm not too cool with boxing. That's not relevant to me because they just focus on punching.
Right.
And I've done several interviews. Listen, guys, boxing is a science. Keep punching and slipping with just two hands.
Right.
When you talk about fighting, with the Don. We are the Don.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, bro, like, before we get to AJ, like, when you look back on your fighting career, before we move past that, like, let's be honest, you have an amazing record. You know, your pro record is 30-6, I believe, and 2 draws. Like, my question is, I know I saw you fight in the UFC once. I've seen a lot of your fights. Like, when you look back, I don't understand why someone as good as you, someone as like high level as you, never got the, you know, like, when you look back on your career, do you feel like the promotions promoted you the way that they should have and they were supposed to, as good as you were and who you were?
No, because I was smart. They didn't like me being smart. They wanted me to be like most fighters. I've always said, if you give me money, more money. I knew what guys were making. I've been training Rampage since Pride. I knew what Tito was making. I was working with Tito. I've worked with every high-level fighter I've worked with, right? So I knew what was being made, and I also knew what was being said by the fans because I was very, emotionally attached to some of the stuff that they would say. But then I would watch Sean Shirk. I'd watch Matt Hughes. I'd watch these guys do the same thing I'm doing.
Exact same, yeah, right.
And they're badasses.
Why?
I come from the South. I didn't want to bring race into it, but I think they were biased about me. Was it because I didn't come up with a mom and a dad? Was it because I wasn't part of a big training team? I trained out of my garage. Remember when the IFL was in, International Fight League? I coached and fought and took us 3-0. And let me tell you what they did. They took one of Renzo Gracie's guys and removed him and put another guy that could beat our 155-pounder so we wouldn't be number one. We wouldn't win the title. It was such a dirty game. No one talks about this stuff that's making good money because that's the way they make their money. With me, I didn't give a shit about the money. I just wanted to be treated with respect. I wanted things to be fair. I've been through hell and high water as a young man in the hood from the South coming to California, and I get into this sport and I'm like, whoa, what the hell is going on? And then I didn't have the mindset for that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I didn't do it for money.
It's a crazy world.
But there was, at that time, when I was 31, 32, 33, there was nobody that could beat me, and everybody knew it. I went to every gym and challenged everybody that was in the gym. I trained with Vito Belfort, and he couldn't do nothing with me. I've trained with the best. Popovich, he was an Abu Dhabi champion. I trained, like I said, I went on a circuit that would whore me around to the Brazilian world because everybody was like, man, it's Antonio Mckee, it's Antonio Mckee. I was known to the celebrities, to the stars at the era that I was in. No one knew that I trained Dan Henderson with him. I used to throw Dan Henderson around like a rag doll. I love Dan Henderson, great guy.
Yeah.
But let's be real. Yeah, you guys know what I did.
Speak on it, brother.
You know what I mean? Don't deny it. Just say, hey man, you know what? McKee was a crazy guy. He didn't get it. He didn't get that UFC platform when he could. I called Dana White at his house. He didn't know how I got his number. I moved to Vegas. Called Dana. I said, hello? He says, hello? I said, hey, Dana. Who is this? I said, this is Mr. Mandingo. He said, what? Who? I said, Mr. Mandingo. He goes, what do you want? Say, you know what I want. I want to kick Jens Pulver's ass. He sucks. 150, 45, didn't matter. I would break Jens Pulver's ass. And,
oh, yeah.
So I didn't realize the politics they played in the game. I thought it was about who's the best fighter, and that's not how it works. That's not how this works. No. And you can see I've disciplined myself in certain interviews. I've disciplined my son first, told him the do's and don'ts, and he's making good money now. He's making more money than I ever made legally.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so I'm okay with what they did because you know who I am.
Absolutely.
Tyron Woodley knows who I am.
The real ones all know who you are.
Chuck Liddell knows who I am.
The coaches.
Randy Couture knows who I am.
Yeah, absolutely.
Rampage knows who I am. Tito knows who I am. Dan Henderson knows who I am.
Absolutely.
Carlos Newton knows who I am. The best of the best, Gracie, they know who I am.
Absolutely.
But I wasn't doing it for that. I was doing it because I love competing. And that's why I was able to get through it because I wasn't in it for the money. Unfortunately, Father of Time catches up with you. I went into the UFC at 40. You saw the fight. Everyone know I won that fight.
I believe you won that fight as well.
But I did an interview before I got to the UFC about 6-7 years ago that they saw. Little man Joe Silva comes up to me and starts saying some stuff, and I didn't quite understand. I was dehydrated, couldn't wait. I must have popped off to him and said the wrong thing to him.
Probably checked his ass real quick.
You know, but I'm a man. Like you know what I mean? I don't let me tell you something.
Dude, like, yeah, no, I already know.
One thing about me is I will respect you how you respect me. I don't care if you're John DuPont. I don't care if you're a crackhead on the street. I treat everybody the same.
Absolutely.
I'm straightforward. Ask anybody that I train, they say, man, Mckee talks, but he's real.
Absolutely.
I don't candy coat the shit because the world ain't never candy coated it for me. So I don't know how to candy coat. I just know how to get to it, right? And you make a decision. Are you going to do it or you're not? All that middle shit, go find a mom and a auntie or an uncle or a soft-ass daddy to teach you that because I don't have that. Yeah. But what I do have is the formula to win, the formula of manhood, the formula to all those little kids that didn't have a dad. Oh, I can help you in less than a year. That's what I do. I've taken in, probably 8 or 9 boys off the street to live with me, to teach them to be a man, because there's not enough men teaching the truth about being a man. A woman raises you from her points of views that makes you a woman man.
Right.
You know what I mean? You wonder why all these guys are whores because they never had a dad to teach them to be a man.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They base things on how much money they got, how many women they got. I got off on the wrong foot, but I slowly started to see the systematic consistency. And I said, you know what? Damn, this is wrong. Had meetings with my son and said, this is where I made my mistake, son. This is I did this wrong. I did that. I did this. I did that. This is how we're going to fix it. You're going to be the best fighter in the world. 5 years old, I told him that. Me and Rampage sat on the couch, and Rampage said, he's going to be the revenge for you because he saw the passion in my eyes. He saw the hurt. We were both sitting on the couch crying, man. I'm crying about how I've been treated and didn't realize it. My son says, Dad, why don't we have a house like Rampage and I watch you train and beat these guys? And I'm sitting here looking at him. I had a true moment. I'm up here crying with Rampage about something. And
it's crazy.
I made that change, man. I said, you know what? You're going to be the best fighter in the world. Every day I would tell him, I said, son, you're going to be the best fighter in the world. You're going to be the best fighter in the world. You're going to be the best fighter in the world. To where when he won and knocked out Patricky, he beat everybody in the first round. I told him before he even did it, I said, my son is going to beat everybody in the first round. And guess what? He's going to be the best fighter that Bellator's ever had. And I said this before. So when they signed my son, I'm really cool with Bellator. But I'll tell you this. We signed for $1,500.
Damn.
To show, $1,500 to win. When I'm watching other celebrity sons come in at $15,000, $20,000 to show,
that's crazy.
It hurt. I went in the car and started crying like a little girl. That's because my son is making $1,500. They give him a 3-fight deal. I love Bellator, but that they don't know that I sat in the car crying, hurt. Like, where was the respect for me?
That's your
there was none. And that's when I said, okay. Got back together with Scott Coker and Mike Hogan. I said, what is it that you want? Because at this point, nobody knew. I was thinking about doing something really bad, and just ending at everything, taking all the people that hurt me, take you with me. And my son looked at me and he says, Dad, don't worry. He says, I'm going to be the best fighter they've ever seen. And I looked at him, I was like, I said, okay, let's do it. We dabbed it up. I said, show up to the gym Monday morning. Showed up to the gym Monday morning, threw up all over the place.
Ooh, man, I can hear the rock. I got goosebumps. I can hear the Rocky music right now in the background.
And let me tell you something.
Damn.
If you look in his eyes when he fights, and, you know, I've never done an interview where I've got this detail, but if you watch him when he's doing interviews, he's very articulate, gifted, passionate, loving kid, because I did nothing but love him, bringing him up the whole time.
Very smart as well.
Right. When he gets in that ring and that ref says, are you ready? And they ask the other guy, are you ready? When they say fight, watch the transition of his face. He's not my son no more. There is a spirit that is on him that is powerful. And he's learned how to do something that I didn't know how to teach it, but I know it. Now I know how to teach it. There's this thing, if a car rolled over on your daughter and you got to lift that car off of her, you're going to get that car off of her.
You're going to be the strongest man in the world.
And there's no physical chain to take place.
Right.
So, if I offered you $1 million and told you to lift that car up, you couldn't do it.
No.
Right? So something happens here when you're in that flight moment, that adrenaline, that survival instinct. I've taught him how to channel it and control it, because I had to control my thoughts and the way I acted in the streets. That could have got me put away for a long time. And when I lost control, I black out. You know what I mean? So I started playing with that. I got to control this. And it became like I was a superhero with strength that didn't make sense. That's why if anybody ever grappled with me, he'll tell you they never felt nothing like it.
I've heard the stories.
You know what I mean?
Lots of them.
And in my mind, my adrenaline is going when I can't get what I want, when I can't control the situation. I get stronger and stronger and stronger to where you're like, I don't realize it, but you're feeling it.
Yeah.
And this is why no one's ever controlled me in a fight. You might have beat me.
Yeah.
Might have got a dirty win by the judges, but you never controlled the fight. I've never been on my back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I taught him how to do that. And when he gets in that cage, he's fighting for pride. He's fighting for respect. And he tells me, Daddy, they're going to respect us. They're going to respect you as a good coach. You're the best coach in the world. They're going to respect me as a fighter, and you coach me, and I'm the best fighter. And I don't have no coaches. You're my coach. They're going to give us respect. And every time he goes in there, I know that he's going to win, because I know how important it is. You got to kill my son to get him out of that cage. He ain't tapping, bro.
Nah,
you're going to knock him out.
Nah.
But he ain't tapping. He's letting it break. Yeah. He's got a pain threshold so high they have no idea. He's fought with a broken hand. They didn't even know. He's fought with a torn shoulder. He's fought with a blowed out knee. No one knew.
The kid's something else. He's special. He's special. What y'all have done together, it's amazing to see. I think one of the, like I said, earlier, it's just inspiring. And one of the coolest moments, I think, a part of his career was when y'all fought on the same night.
And that was another night of just amazement, man. Look. We were arguing who's gonna fight first. No, Dad, you fight first out of respect. I mean, no. He's telling me to fight last. He's fighting first. I'm like, no, son, it's your show. You fight first. I know what you're gonna do. He says, Dad, I'm gonna knock Georgie out and set a Bellator record. I said, wait a minute, I've trained with Georgie. That dude's tough.
Shout out Georgie.
Georgie Kokar, that's my dog.
He's been on the show too. Shout out Georgie.
I tried to get him to come train with us. I said, listen, come train with me, man. I'm on a different level with this teaching shit. But he never made it. But anyway, he says he's going to set a record. I said, man, come on, man. I said, well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to fight first. Because if I win, then you have to win. If I lose, you have to win. So I'm not going to mess you up and you fight first, worried about me. Yeah. But I'm going to fight first. And he agreed. Bellator agreed. I fought first. And I said, now you got to win. He says, no, Dad, you don't understand. I'm knocking Georgie out.
And you look good doing it, too. I was very, very...
And I was 50, I think.
Yeah, it was such a, like... maybe not to a lot of people that are new to the sport, but to people that were in the sport, I'm sure that watched, we were all cheering. You know what I mean? It was a special thing to see you win. And then it's like, okay, now AJ got to win.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's got to happen. And then
even there when I won, look, Scott Coker tells me, that was the most kicks I ever seen you throw in your whole life. Constant criticism, constant ridiculing. I took it.
Shouldn't that be a good thing though?
You know what, man? It was like a jab.
Right, but I'm saying it's like,
why couldn't you just say, "Hey,
good job,
Mckee, that was a good job, man.
Yeah.
That was the best I've ever seen you fight on your feet."
Fact.
Leave it at that.
Yep.
But see, that's what I'm talking about. I've had to deal with stuff like that, and I take that personal. You're attacking me. Why? What I've been through? You're saying shit like that?
Why can't you just say something positive and uplifting?
Why you gotta cut me? Let me enjoy this night. I'm 50 years old, and as a matter of fact, we're close in age, buddy. Yeah. Can you fight?
Can you? Yeah.
Can you even make it to a workout?
We all know the answer to that.
But no disrespect to Scott. He's a great man. He gave us a platform to stand on. But these are the things that I had to learn to be quiet about. Because the old me would have said something. I'd have grabbed him by his shirt and be like, "Hey, you ain't got nothing else to say to me other than that." But again, that just shows the power that I had. Because they're still talking.
Yeah.
So I respect it. It is what it is.
Yeah. But regardless of the promotion and all that, just to see y'all both win on that night, I must have been that's a special moment. And to see y'all both in the gloves, like I'm sure you guys gotta have.
We're the first person in American history to ever father and son fight.
It's sick.
You know what I'm saying? That I appreciate Bellator giving us that opportunity. But you know what we did? We sold LA out, and then we took the show to Long Beach and sold Long Beach out. Yeah. So don't tell me my son ain't got star power. Yeah. It's just you don't know how to promote them.
Yeah. Oh man, I don't even want to I don't want to even talk. Yeah, let's not. I don't want to shit on nobody, but you had action at all of LA, Long Beach.
Everybody was there, man.
Come on,
and they kept it peace.
Come on,
I feel like Kendrick Lamar.
And come on,
they ain't like us.
I did. I know the real ones did, and I know AJ is for those of us that know mixed martial arts, they can all see what you guys got there is special, and it's gonna keep going, and there's nothing that they could do to stop it. As far as AJ goes now, just so we can. I mean, I want to know because I'm a fan of AJ's fights. I want to see the kid fight. He's amazing. Yeah. When you watch mixed martial arts, what do you want to see? You want to see the best guys, and that's one of them. So just out of curiosity, what's going on with AJ right now, as far as his career?
He's doing really good.
And Bellator, what happened with them?
Bellator sold,
right?
And when Bellator sold, PFL, we were in talking to PFL, so we didn't really have to do much because PFL purchased Bellator. PFL, great platform. Like I said, I don't have anything to say about my bosses other than respect me, treat me with respect, and I respect you and treat you with respect. My fighters will do the same. We're going to fight, put on a great show for no matter who we fight for. I think that it's unfortunate that, he doesn't fight enough. He wants to fight every week. He's young. He's like, "Dad, let me fight. Dad, I need to fight." And, we went through boredom where he kind of got a little distracted and, he started doing things a little different. But for the most part, he's going to fight October 19th. We don't have the contract yet, but
in that time range,
we're going to be fighting around that time.
Okay,
and
so he's coming back soon.
Yeah, and again, we signed a 6-fight deal. Or was it a 4-fight deal? I think it was a 6-fight deal with Bellator before they were purchased
by PFL.
Right, so we've got 4 more fights left.
Okay.
And we're looking forward to it because, again, he's the best in the world.
Absolutely.
And hopefully one day we can unify belts. And if he's still at PFL, let's fight a UFC top-notch guy that's the best in the world. And let's see, just like you saw with Bellator when they put champ versus champ in PFL versus Bellator, you saw the sweep. What was it, 4-1?
I mean, you know what
they swept
just my opinion, I think you put him in there in the UFC right now, I think he can beat everybody in his weight class. Like
at 145.
That's my opinion. Like I think he wipes through everybody.
Yeah.
Like, you know, just from the way he fights.
Well, he's trained with a couple guys that's been there, and he walked right through him.
Yeah,
he's so talented, and you see it every time he fights. He does stuff no one's ever seen before. His awareness in that cage, he knows where he's at. It's his playground, bro. Yeah. He's in there playing, having fun. He's calm. He's just having fun. But in the end, he means business.
Right. Yeah, he's gonna get you up out of there too. That's what the other thing.
Oh yeah,
the other thing I love about him. He ain't trying to go to no.
He's the highest paid fighter in the world. Yeah, between you and me.
Yeah, he's trying to get you up out of there.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I'm excited to see his future, and like I said, you know, it's inspiring to see the father and son relationship. I had a question for you, like, you know, one of the things that was kind of crazy is like I seen you start training Chuck Liddell to fight Tito back in the day. Like, I know you had relationships with all of them, right? You were cool with Tito, like you trained with all of them, like as far as in the training room, like who's the best guy Antonio Mckee is like ever, you know, like you don't got to talk about no stories or anything in the gym, but like would you say like
was my hardest,
was the toughest guy you've ever been in there with, like, you know, as far
there's a couple, man.
What up, everybody? Want to take a quick second out of the podcast just to give a shout out to our sponsor, the best criminal defense attorney I know. The last time I got in trouble, I needed somebody that was going to look into my case and actually fight for me and get me the best deal possible, and he did that. And I'll make sure that he does that for you. Make sure you shout me out if you guys reach out to him. They're the sponsor of the Convo. You know anybody, a family member or yourself that make a mistake, you want somebody like him on your side. Arash, please let everybody know how they can get a hold of you.
Thank you. Arash Hashemi, 310-448-1529, or HashemiLaw.com, HashemiLaw.com, or just Google hashtag BetterCallHash. Remember that, BetterCallHash. You'll find me on every social media channel all over the internet. 310-448-1529.
You better call Hash.
And Randy Couture, Tyron Woodley, and Mo Law.
Mo Law, yeah, the king.
And when he was young, see, I got to experience these guys when they were young and they were champions. I was coming to an end of my career, but I was still able to go when they were coming in. I was kind of young, and Mo Law probably was the best guy on the feet that I went with. Him and Tyron Woodley.
Tyron for sure. Too, yeah, they're studs.
We would just go back and forth, but I have never grappled with somebody that has ever dominated me after 2 years of training jiu-jitsu.
Damn.
Nobody. Crazy. And nobody can tell you that.
Yeah, and I've
and
heard
I've trained everywhere. I just have a gift.
You do.
And
you do.
I don't abuse it, and I can't teach it, but I try to imply the things that I've changed and why I've changed it in the others. Because I've lost so many friends, man. Like, I'm lonely.
Yeah.
All my friends are dead, or my other friend just got 30 years and they're just dropping off. I'm 54 and now everybody is dying. Diabetes, high blood pressure. I get phone calls and they're messed up, man. And I'm like, dang.
Yeah.
I'm just thankful that I went the route I went.
And speaking of teaching, like the route you're in now is blessing a lot of people with you know, your wisdom, your knowledge, your the game you got from fighting, with helping them to get their careers. Speaking on Rampage, I know you got like a lot of young killers in the room these days. I know you got Rampage's son in there.
Yeah.
I know you got Kimbo Slice's son in there. I mean, there's a reason why people are coming. These young, hungry killers are coming to you. You know
what, man? I see so many coaches that'll have a star on their hands, and because of the egos of the coaches, those kids don't grow. And I want them all to come to me because I see that potential. And I see the hard work, the dedication, the loyalty to their coaches, but their coaches suck. They're showing them stuff. I'm watching them hit pads in the back, and I'm just like, what? Yeah, I came from Colin Oyama. Great coach, but he stopped learning. I came from Marco Jara. I came from J-Sec Jiu-Jitsu, John Lewis. They didn't evolve.
Right.
I kept growing and growing, and I got to a point to where I became silent and I disconnected from everybody. And all I was gonna do is just show them. And I tell my fighters in the gym, I want to be the best coach in the world, and I don't want nothing but the best fighters in the world that are willing to work hard. You don't have to be the best fighter. You have to be willing to work hard, and we could beat we could beat the best fighters. I tell them hard work beats talent.
All day.
You know what I mean? When you got talent and hard work, I see who's talented. Look at the girl, Abigail Montez, fought Clarissa Shields.
Yeah.
She came. I said, don't tell anybody you train here. Keep it quiet. I don't need no notoriety. You're going to beat Clarissa Shields. What happened? She beat Clarissa Shields. Unfortunately, she was managed wrong. She was training wrong. I corrected all of that, and she's in a contract that put her at 155 pounds. In a tournament, she's 2-0. I pleaded with other sides to do things differently for her because she could be a champion. She fights like Rampage, and she's a female.
Crazy.
She gets it. She comes in getting it, right? So when I see these things, I've just learned to turn it off now.
Yeah.
Hey, if you ever don't like where you're at, I give fighters positive information. So any coach that thinks I'm trying to steal their fighters, first of all, I would never steal a fighter. I want to help fighters that I see that could be the best. And I see your coaches lack that. If I don't have it, you know what I do? I'll buy it. I'll go and hire $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. Come teach in my gym. Show this because you are a specialist in this, and I need this fight, and it's going to be worth $20,000, $15,000 to you. It's a business.
Yeah.
I don't think I know it all. And I also keep my team humble. We train together every day. There's no superstars in this gym. They watch AJ interact with everybody as if he's just a student. And you give me that respect as a coach, not as a teacher.
Right.
You want to be taught? Go learn over there. I'm a coach. I'm going to coach you to be the best, right? And sometimes this doesn't work on you, but it'll work over here. So me as a coach, I have to sit back and analyze what I've done for 30 years in mixed martial arts, and I have to see how I can apply it and where it'll be easy for you to do it. Not change your style. That's what these coaches do. They try to change the style. I see you keep slipping that way. Well, I'm going to show you how to slip this way and throw an uppercut.
Right.
I see you keep dipping. I'm going to show you how to dip and throw an overhand. Because those are things you're going to do naturally.
Right.
I'm giving up so much game in this interview that if coaches listen and they just don't get thinking that I think I'm the best because I know I'm the best because I've done what the best do. I've shut up and I've learned.
Right.
Now I'm trying to teach.
Yeah.
And I still learn every day. My son teaches me stuff. I sit and watch matches and I learn stuff. But what no one can teach you is the life that you've had.
Right.
No one can teach me the life that I've had. That's an experience that I've had that you can't teach. And I survived through it. So don't think for 1 second I'm going to bust your balls every chance I get when I get in that room, when I get in that cage. Right now I'm ready to go train. I'm going to put my gear on. I can barely walk or turn my neck because I got choked out. It takes 5 days to heal now when it only took 2 hours before. It takes 2 months when my knees are sore. But I won't do any steroids. I'm going to eat healthy, stay off the sugars, fast sometimes because I need to detox my body, and love. The best thing of all things is I love unconditional, even to a man I don't know. Because I know what it's like. I love. And that beats, man, believe it or not. You tell somebody that wants to hurt you, that wants to do things and say things. If you say, why are you doing this to me? I love you. Man, it kills it. People say love ain't powerful. No. Put love and violence together.
Yeah. I got a homie from out in LA. He said, when guys, he's older now. He says when a guy says, gang member starts looking at him and staring at him, and they ask him, hey, where you from? What you looking at or something? Oh, he said, I'm just thinking about Jesus. And he said, as soon as I say that to him, they don't say nothing else to me.
Yeah, that works in prison too. You say, hey, man, I gave my life to God. They watch you.
Yeah.
But all shots off now.
Yeah.
That's the most powerful thing on this planet.
It is. So it is. As crazy as it is growing up in tough environments, I think everyone that does grow up in a tough environment, deep down, that's not what they want for themselves. And most of the people that live in those environments are looking for their way out.
Right.
Not, you got these other, these rappers now that get famous and they're rich and they want to come live in the hood and be a gang member, which is crazy because most of those people do not want to be there. They are trying to find their way out. And what's amazing to me is like, this is why it was so important and it meant so much to me when you reached back out after I asked you to come on the show. I knew, like, I had known that you had a tough story, and this is the most inspiring thing to a lot of people in my eyes. It's like when you see like somebody like you or somebody that grew up like you and made the same mistakes like you make it and thrive and be like, you see your son holding the championship like that. That's like, you see it and it's like, I'm gonna make it too. Because that's type of story that touches a lot of people. And brother, like, whether you know it or not, like, you are one of the best coaches in the world. And like I said, when you first came up here, I said, I don't feel like you ever get the flowers that you deserve, but brother, you are one of the best coaches. Your son is the best fighter, in my opinion, right now in that weight class. And I just hope, y'all receive the blessings that you guys deserve. And God helps all this to happen for you guys, because you guys deserve it. Yeah.
You know what, man? It's been a journey. And I'm down for this. Like I said, I've rolled with the best, man. I've trained with Khabib. I've trained with everybody. And like I said, man, Khabib, speaking on Khabib, I love that guy, man. He's a good dude. I roll with him, and he was surprised. And he was like, you know what? He saw the son and father. It reminded him of his dad. And whenever we're out, he sees me. He always comes up to me. Hey, coach, good job, man. Respect.
He knows.
I love that guy, man. Just people like that, people like me, when we come together with people like him, he didn't have it rough like that. You know what I mean? I've been through a lot of adversity. Some of it I created on my own. Like I tell people, I don't run from what I've done. I'll stand up and say I got away with it. And that was probably my walk. He died, I didn't. That's what God had in store for him, not me. I'm here. I'm still here. But look, I'm serving him. So when people hear this interview and they watch this, I want them to take away everything that they thought they knew about this sport and just focus on God. Now, he's all this God religious. Listen, it's the superior being in you that which you were created, right? You take your mother and your father, that's who you are, and their mother and father, that DNA. There's something that had to create that in the very beginning. We didn't just crawl out of the ocean. We didn't evolve from apes. That's all bull crap.
Right.
So there was something powerful that played a role in your creation. Seek that and put your fundamentals around it and watch. It's not about religion, because if that was the case, I'd be Muslim, Christian. I've studied it all, and it never said anything about being any religion.
Right.
Jesus the J didn't even exist. This is still, we were spiritual. We've always been spiritual.
Absolutely.
I say stay away off the weed. It affects the pineal gland. It distorts you, consciousness. It kills ambition. Now, if you have medical issues, that's different. Do your homework. Stay off the steroids. It's going to tear your ass up when you're my age. You're going to be broke up, right? Focus on being healthy. Focus on finding your connection with God. That's it.
Game. That's game right there, man. That's perfect. I can't even end it on a better note than that. Like, I mean, what can I even say after that? That's a whole lot of game for you guys. And I've been blessed to sit here and listen to it as well. And thank you, brother, for for today and for sharing your story. And the best coach in the world, best mixed martial arts coach in the world is at Team Body Shop. Is that right?
Yeah, Team Body Shop out of Metro Flex 2.0 Hawaiian Gardens.
You all want to get with one of the best. Y'all know where to find them. On social media, it's
Antonio Mckee.
Antonio Mckee on social media, Instagram. We will have all the links in the below, brother.
But don't call me if your life is great. Don't call me if you're good. Call me if you're on the borderline of breaking. You're on the brink of giving up. Because if you already making it and you're already good, you don't need to talk to me. I'm not against that, but I didn't come that way. I came with no mom, no dad, no law, no family, in and out of jail. I never did drugs, never was a drinker, none of that. But the foundation that I walked on was so crappy, and I understand it. So when you talk to me, you're not talking to someone that's a counselor that's got a degree. You're talking to somebody that has a master degree. I've lived for 54 years in the streets. Now I stand in corporate America and I'm banging them away. I own a lot of real estate. FICO scores are up high. Banks do what I asked them to do because I've set the bar that high. My son is an 850 FICO score.
Love to hear it.
I did it.
You did it.
And now I want to share that recipe so other people like me can do it. Drug dealers, that was the first thing I managed. I managed drug dealers, how to invest their money in real estate, how to set up corporations. I never sold drugs like that. I didn't have no kind of money. I wasn't smart enough. But I became smart as far as business. And so now I understand it. Now that my son is where he's at. Oh, man, Grant Cardone? Grant Cardone knows who I am.
Yes, sir.
Jerry Malcolm knows who I am. You ask, that's Grant Cardone's buddy. And if anybody knows about real estate and money and billionaires and millionaires, they know who Grant Cardone is.
Yes, sir.
You may not be seeing me follow him or him follow me, but trust me, he knows who I am. You know what I mean? And that's the best that I can give advice, man. Call me if it's not right.
There you go. There you go. Couldn't have said it better.
Call me.
One of the best coaches in the game. Y'all, hope you guys like this episode. Like, subscribe, tell your mama and your daddy. Peace.
Peace.